Committee will come to order.
I ask unanimous consent that the ranking member's statement be entered into the record.
Without objection.
Thank you.
It has been 11 months since I last appeared before this committee, and since then we have made considerable military progress in Iraq and Syria, Afghanistan, Egypt, Lebanon, and the maritime environment. However, we remain very clear-eyed regarding both the permanence of that progress and the challenges that we face in the future. In the past year, we have achieved incredible success against ISIS in Iraq and Syria. The Iraqi security forces and Syrian democratic forces are operating at their most effective levels since Operation Inherent Resolve began. And now, over 98% of the territory previously held by ISIS in Iraq and Syria is no longer under their control. The destruction of the ISIS physical caliphate is imminent, and millions of displaced persons are returning home and beginning the long process of rebuilding.
And what DOD is in a position to be able to do to defend us and our allies against that threat.
Thank you, Congresswoman. I think you've highlighted one of the principal concerns that we have, the increasing not just quantity but quality of their ballistic missiles and the export and movement of those capabilities to other groups and locations around the region. Certainly, as we've seen with Ambassador Haley and her demonstration most recently with some of the items recovered from Saudi Arabia, these weapons pose the threat of widening the conflict out of Yemen, and frankly put our forces, our embassy in Riyadh, our forces in the United Arab Emirates at risk, as well as our partners. So I think first and foremost about their threat is the quality and the quantity that they have been pursuing over the last several years, particularly with respect to this.
You're working to defeat ISIS and bring that campaign to a responsible close.
The principal reason we are in Syria is to defeat ISIS, and that remains our sole and single task that we are principally oriented on. Part of defeating ISIS, though, is removing their control of the physical caliphate, the physical terrain, as you're well aware, and in ensuring they can't resurge. So that means that after we have removed them from their control of the terrain, we have to consolidate our gains, and we have to ensure that the right security and stability is in place so that they cannot resurge. So that is part of being responsible coalition members in here, and that will take some time beyond all of this. Our legal basis for operating in Syria was largely driven by the collective self-defense of Iraq when we first went there. That ISIS being an organization that did not adhere to sovereign boundaries, were moving back and forth across here, and while we were beginning to address ISIS in Iraq, we knew that we also had to address ISIS in Syria. I would also point out, Congresswoman, that the Syrian regime itself has proved unwilling and unable to address this particular threat. While they did do some operations down in the Middle Euphrates Valley here several months ago, they have largely departed that area, and they have taken the pressure off of ISIS and created more problems for the coalition in dealing with this.
I believe Secretary Tillerson was quite specific in speaking about this within the Justice